Stop absolutely completely trusting those beautifully glossy, heavily digitally edited factory promotional marketing brochures that falsely promise you some specific sort of incredibly magical, totally unreachable, optimal fuel consumption number, and let us look exactly at what happens in the real world. If you are incredibly, totally luckily enough to be actively, personally operating the highly, incredibly desirable 1.6-liter heavy turbo diesel cast iron engine paired completely flawlessly with the highly traditional manual mechanical transmission, the highly real-world practical efficiency you will completely consistently personally experience is honestly totally mind-blowing. When you are smoothly out exactly on the completely totally open flat interstate, aggressively cruising at highly fast highway speeds, and completely physically locked firmly directly into the highest mechanical overdrive gear, the actual engine rotational speed barely visibly registers directly above 2,000 exact revolutions per minute, commonly referred to as RPM. What this highly, incredibly specific mechanical internal gearing actually means entirely in physical reality is that exactly when you suddenly, highly unexpectedly actively encounter a massive, incredibly steep, elevated highway mountain physical incline, you absolutely, completely, totally do not ever need to frantically, aggressively downshift multiple physical gears and violently scream the engine. You simply heavily, totally rely heavily on that massive surging wave of low-end heavy diesel torque to completely effortlessly physically pull the entire heavy loaded vehicle straight up the massive incline hill while barely making a highly noticeable negative dent completely in your exact average digital dashboard fuel consumption readout. In completely true, totally, completely realistic, actively mixed daily driving scenarios, directly where you are absolutely constantly physically combining horrible, totally heavy urban gridlock dense congestion exactly with smooth, totally open flat highway fast cruising, you can very highly comfortably and completely consistently mathematically expect to actively heavily see incredibly surprisingly low physical efficiency figures steadily hovering right exactly around 5.5 strictly to 6.0 liters entirely per 100 driven kilometers. The incredibly complex internal logic software mapping inside the main computerized engine control unit is physically highly programmed entirely specifically for absolute maximum internal thermal efficiency economy, meaning it perfectly, optimally, precisely injects the exact microscopic microgram of heavy liquid fuel absolutely physically needed directly for efficient combustion without ever blindly wasting a single tiny drop. However, exactly when you absolutely dangerously need to physically merge highly aggressively directly onto a very fast-moving, incredibly dangerous, completely packed highway, and you firmly, forcefully pin the heavy mechanical accelerator pedal entirely physically to the front floorboards, the immediate mechanical forced response heavily from the spinning variable geometry turbine turbocharger is absolutely surprisingly incredibly violent and totally aggressive. The standard global industry acceleration benchmark sprint directly from absolute zero physically to 100 exact kilometers per hour is officially actively dealt heavily with in roughly exactly 10 flat seconds completely on factory paper, but completely in the absolute terrifying real physical world, it actually feels drastically significantly faster physically because absolutely all of that highly dense compressed diesel torque actively physically hits the two front rubber wheels totally simultaneously. The completely smooth, highly aerodynamic sloped profile exactly of the exterior painted sheet metal heavily plays a massive, entirely, totally unseen physical role heavily in this exact efficiency mathematical equation, exactly as the flat plastic underbody shielding panels are cleverly kept incredibly relatively flat, actively preventing highly disruptive, turbulent, messy air from completely getting violently trapped directly beneath the heavy moving chassis.